I need to talk about the insane mob culture that uses the police as pawns for what they want when they want it, right? And we are supposed to be a constitutional republic, but we're slipping into a mob rules, which is democracy. And for those who don't know, mob rules is, or democracy is simply if there's 100 of us and 99 of us want chocolate ice cream and I say, no, I want vanilla ice cream, the mob is going to say, tough, you're going to do what we want. And they're going to pound me into submission to get what I want. I want to play two clips and talk about the context of the split mentality for people who claim they support the police, but they clearly do not understand what they're doing. When it comes down to supporting the police, it's simply this. The job of the police is to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. I'm going to say that again. To keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. The job is not to administer punishment on the street. Their job is to observe, to document, to take people into custody and transport them to the judge to be able to make a decision with the prosecutor and the defense, and the judges is the one who dictates the punishment for corrective behavior, which is why we put people in corrections. We have due process. We have a foundation of innocence until proven guilty. Now, remember the hypocrisy I want to point out when it comes down to the mob and how effing stupid the mob is, and they don't even realize it. They're an overly emotional people who lick boots, who just can't understand the harm they're doing for our system, which is creating a mass army of thugs who are going to do shit on the street, which is going to come to you. So I want to play this video. I know nothing about this, right? This video, which I'm simply going to play, is nothing more than what came across, and I commented on it. So what we're looking at in this video, I'm going to enlarge it for you, is this is from Cops versus Human. And the caption of this simply says, if there was a page only dedicated to Cops versus Human, I see what looks to be two police officers. I'm going to assume that by what they're wearing. I was corrected later on saying these are bail bondsmen. I don't know, but it makes no sense based on what the comments said too. And here's a guy laying on the ground. I'm going to play this.
That's the one you said sucks dick, right?
So what we have is you got a black guy being let out from custody, and he's clearly in handcuffs, and you have this cop on the right, which, as you can see, he looks over his shoulder. Guy's in handcuffs being let out. I don't know. I can't tell what this says here. He just winds up and cracks this guy. Now, that the cop is a domestic terrorist, and I put up here domestic terrorism. I don't know if this is a bail bondsman. I don't know if this is this a cop. This person who represents law enforcement in some type of way needs to be criminally prosecuted. But you know how it goes. It's not going to happen. Cops do not get criminally prosecuted. And until the day we start seeing more police criminally prosecuted, and we're going to have to talk about removing qualified immunity. We're going to have to talk about going from certification to licensing to being insured. You have to have these conversations. If you are pro-police, pro-law enforcement, you need to have this because the good cops will be protected. There's no excuse for this. So I commented domestic terrorism. Here are the bootlicking comments. Dojo Monkey, Dominick Izzo, probably deserved it. X Strong 45X, shut the F up. Whatever this is, Dominick Izzo, I bet your wife's BS hates cops too. Soy cuck, beta male. Definitely did. Dominick Izzo, you mean the killer in the cuffs? Dominick Izzo, these aren't cops. And if you find a reason every hotel room has, and you are the reason that every hotel room has a chair facing the bed. Dominick Izzo, he killed the whole family. The blacks or the cops? Red Shirt executed his whole family, kids, grandparents. Dominick Izzo, he probably deserved it. The amount of people in the comments who are supporting what this guy did to the person in the handcuffs shows a thirsty mob action, a cult mob that wants the police. And again, People say this was not a police officer. I don't know the facts of this yet, but still that person has a right and a responsibility to take somebody into custody. The fight's off. There's nothing around it. I don't know why this is such a hard thing to do, but the mob wants to see the police administer punishment to something they don't know. He killed his whole family. How do we know? I wasn't there. And last time I checked, even if he killed his own family, raped the family dog, set everything on fire, kicked grandma's wheelchair down the street after he doused her in gasoline, set her on fire, this country is built off of due process. If you don't appreciate that, you cannot have law enforcement that serves everyone. So I want you to keep that in mind. And the comments are all over the place. The comments are just all over the place supporting the cop who strikes a criminal in handcuffs. Now, I want to go and show how easily the bootlickers flip their script when it comes to always protecting cops. Now, remember, in video 1 here, they're supporting the cop, Let's support cops in a different way. I'm going to play this video from Libs of TikTok, man on the street interview for a guy who interviews police talking about gay pride.
Hey guys, I'm a news reporter. Okay. So obviously there's a lot of nudity around here, men, women, transsexual stuff going on, and there's kids, wandering around the event. I'm not sure on San Francisco's laws or California's laws, is it legal for nudity to be presented in front of kids?
Nudity is legal, yeah, within certain boundaries.
But then, what are the boundaries? Do you know?
Coupled with a lewd act. Yeah, anything coupled with a lewd act or anything being done for sexual gratification that involves other people. Basically.
Okay, but this event wouldn't be considered for sexual gratification.
No, if they're walking around and it's out, that's right. That'd be different than if they're masturbating or if they're forcing, like flashing people, right? Like trying to get their attention and flashing. But no.
But even with kids, it's fine to be nude as long as there's no masturbation or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here you have police officers openly admitting, and I want you to play the scenario in your head. If you had children, if you're around your nieces and nephews, and they're younger, and you're walking around with your anatomy exposed, fully unclothed, what would happen to you? You know exactly what would happen to you. There's no question about it. But because it's pride, and I'm not trying to take this as a social agenda or a political statement, but I'm simply talking about the protection of children, the most innocent children, animals, and the elderly. The ones who are at the highest level of harm by our disgusting society. You would like to think that your police would be in a position to sit there and absolutely offer protection, to keep the peace, maintain order in a free society, serve, protect, honor, integrity. I said in this comment, cops are not on your side. Not on your side. Now remember the bootlicking comments from the last video saying that they had no problem with the police striking a man in handcuffs who was afforded due process by the Constitution, rights that were granted to you by God. And if some of you are all upset about the fact that I bring God in this, it is how it is, right? Here's a cop supporter. Dominick, Izzo, this isn't a cop issue. I'm sure you haven't forgotten what, quote, elements of a crime are. It's also like this in Florida and Texas. Cops don't make the laws, but here you are once again painting the entire profession. Yes, because whatever happens in this state is a representation of every state across the country because everybody wears the same uniform and they swore the same oath. Dominick, Izzo, you support cops making arrests that conflict with established case laws in that jurisdiction? Do you see the problem? Do you see how the words are twisted? If I saw an adult, if I'm a cop, I can't articulate this well enough. If I'm a police officer and a grown man is standing with his penis out, in public, there is zero purpose of that does not include sexual gratification. And there's a child present. I'm going to arrest either the parent that accompanies with that child or the grown man who's doing it, the parent for allowing it to happen, because I have to determine if that parent willingly brought that person, or I'm going to arrest both. Parent for child endangerment, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. See, this is the other thing too, is you have to look at this too. States do have contributing to delinquency of minor or child endangerment. Well, protecting his nude, But as we saw in the video I talked about yesterday where the cop sat there and pulled somebody over for sticking their arm out the window and giving them a finger and said, oh, well, they improperly used their arm for a vehicle signal, you're going to tell me you can't find elements of the crime all over? Child endangerment, contributing delinquency of a minor. Leave the one about nakedness being open. Don't care. Don't care. People are defending this one. People 100%, because no real, thank God, no real LEOs in good conscience knowing children are present would tolerate this. But more people are in this comment section, and they're not raw. Jim Tam Patrol, Dominick Izzo, explain your dumb comment. How? I don't get the mob. And that's the point for this. And I want you to see the danger of both picking a side, either being bootlickers or cop condemnings. It's always the police who are in the middle. And if they're smart, which they are, they're going to pick the side that has the most influence to keep their job and their paycheck. And that other side will be oppressed. We've already seen that happen. I can't believe, I can't, I'm, and again, this is recycling my comments here. I can see it easier on my phone. If you go to this post, Libs or TikTok, and you look at my comment, which is all the way up at the top here, cops are not on our side, you will see people defending police, saying, well, how can they enforce something that's against the law? You're kidding me. But you're going to support, and maybe I'm absolutely off of my rocker trying to articulate how are you, the public, okay with cops punching someone in the face who is handcuffed for what you say he committed a crime by killing his family, due process, innocent until proven guilty, but you have grown men with their genitalia out, kids in the area, a law that protects grown men, and then you have their genitalia out, the morality issue of it, the innocence of the children, and you're saying, well, cops can't do anything about it. Don't you understand what the law is? We are lost. The system of law enforcement needs to be condemned and 100% revamped with those who know what their oath is, stop following state laws and mandates, and say, Constitution. The Constitution, that's it. Use your officer discretion. If I were a cop on scene, somebody would be going in handcuffs, everybody be going in handcuffs, and I would be fighting this like crazy to send this as high up as possible to say, what rights are we not protecting of the child here versus the grown adults who are able to make their conscious behavior choice? This is insane. And it's fueled by the public who is doing more harm than good to cops. How do you defend this? How do you not condemn a cop punching somebody in handcuffs, but you defend a cop who lets people stand with their genitalia out for in front of children because it's the law? Cops' hands are tied. You guys are the problem. You guys are the problem, and this is where humanizing the badge comes in, which I will die on that hill that says this is the worst thing ever to happen to law enforcement is you gave cops an out. Every cop who was on that one call of where this guy beat him up, they should have taken him back to the PD and they should have arrested him. He violated somebody's civil rights, punched him right in the face. That guy's got due process. You administered punishment on the street, right? You assigned guilt. Arrest him. Arrest him for violating somebody's constitutional right. Federal charges. This... yeah, we know how many cops don't have a constitutional right to protect you. Child endangerment. You're not going to protect a child? You arrest that cop for child endangerment. This needs to be drastic, absolutely very drastic measures to retake law enforcement and bring back the integrity that it is. The public is disgusting. The Blue Line supporters are cowards. They are ill-informed. They are just completely uneducated, and you're not demanding the best of your law enforcement. No cop. And we saw this, again, I'm not trying to make a political statement. I have been to drag shows. I think they're phenomenal. Best birthday I've ever had was my 30th birthday. Girl I was dating took me to the Baton Club in Chicago. You had to drag me out kicking and screaming. It was so awesome. I'm a consenting adult. I love what people can express themselves. I'm a libertarian. I don't care what you do, what you call yourself as. Children. Every cop who allowed those drag story presentations to go on to the children. How could you do that? Every cop who enforced mandates during the lockdowns. How could you do that? Every cop who administers punishment on the street for a handcuffed subject. How could you do that? When the hell are we going to hold our police to a higher standard? Because it's what we deserve, not how we feel. Not how we feel. You public are the problem. You flip-flop on what you want your police to do. You are doing more harm than good. I condemn bad cops. I hate bad cops. I am anti-law enforcement until a massive corrective swing starts to come into place and good cops stand up and stop saying, why are you putting out why are you perpetuating the negativity for cops out there? Because you know what? Because it's out there in a swarm of just insane, never-ending funnel of bad cop videos is out there. And the good will never outweigh the bad until it is the standard. And it's not the standard anymore. Go ahead and go put out a fucking fire on somebody's back porch before the fire department gets there. Get your medal from the village. Go solve a crime where an old lady had her mailbox knocked down and you saved the day. You're never going to get that reported. It's never going to be on the news. But when you bash somebody's head in who's on handcuffs because they shot up a store clerk who was just trying to make a living, you can't control your emotions. That's going to make the news. When you wind up chasing somebody in the countless vehicle pursuits we see and speeding, and you pit maneuver a motorcycle, all for speeding, jump on him, pound him in handcuffs because you can't control your emotions, that's going to make the news. And the bootlicking public is going to wind up crying for more blood because of it. But then when the cops can't do something, right, they can't do it, what do? Well, clearly the cops can't do it because their hands are tied and the law is not on their side. This is why I keep saying that being a cop is the greatest profession on the planet, and why the men and women who do the job better and at the standard of what I absolutely want them and hold them to do and what they claim to do, they are superior human beings. You're just never going to hear about them. We need to hear about them more. No, they need to be heard. They need to talk and tell their story more. They need to step up to the plate more. We do need more cops who are arresting bad cops. And again, too, for those who put in the comments section of my videos, well, why did you never arrest a bad cop? No one's out there to help. In my state, if you ever read my book, Before the Badge, Everything You Need to Know Before You Become a Cop, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wordsmatterpublishing.com. I went to the state, the sheriff. I went to the Attorney General of Illinois. I went to the FBI. No help. So right now, this onus is on the citizens. You're losing your minds. You're utterly losing your minds, and you need to be condemned for your arbitrarily emotional roller coaster of what you want done, and you think the police are your jack thug, goose-stepping enforcers to follow through with it. It's not the case. So somebody needs to explain to me the mentality for the public and why they're so brain dead when it comes to arbitrarily trying to make the police do what they want. Be safe, guys. See you in the next video.